Sheyi looked left and right before abandoning the newborn baby in his hands in the bin. His wife just gave birth to twins after 12 long hours of labor, but one of the babies was deformed. Sheyi felt ashamed of the child and couldn't bring himself to raise or be associated with such a child. His wife, Itunu, was too weak after giving birth to know the atrocity her husband had committed. Hours later, when she finally woke up from a deep sleep, she was met with the teary eyes of her husband. She asked what the problem was, and Sheyi told her one of their twins passed away a few hours after delivery. His wife, Itunu, couldn't believe her ears. She started to cry, questioning her choice of having a home birth, but Sheyi assured her that not giving birth in the hospital wasn't the problem. Itunu immediately asked for her other twin baby, and Sheyi went into the nursery to carry the newly born twin. When he handed the baby to her, Itunu wailed even more. "She looks so perfect," she said, while kissing the baby's forehead. They named her Oreoluwa. 14 years later, Oreoluwa grew up to be a very beautiful but lonely girl. She grew up in a household that was filled with turmoil and strife. Her parents, Sheyi and Itunu's constant fights, mostly because of her father's infidelity, created an atmosphere of tension and sadness that overshadowed every aspect of Oreoluwa's life. Despite the material comforts that her father's successful career as a plastic surgeon provided, Oreoluwa felt a profound sense of loneliness and isolation. Her mother, once a vibrant and joyful woman, had been reduced to a mere shell of her former self. The constant betrayal and emotional pain caused by her husband's actions had taken a toll on her spirit, leaving her perpetually in tears and consumed by despair, which gave her no room at all to pay attention to her daughter. Oreoluwa watched helplessly as her mother's light faded, feeling powerless to intervene or offer any comfort in the face of such overwhelming sadness. Her father, on the other hand, seemed oblivious to the suffering he had caused. His focus was solely on his work and the image of perfection that he sought to create in his patients. He would often criticize Oreoluwa's appearance, pointing out flaws and imperfections that only served to deepen a sense of inadequacy and self-doubt. He made no effort to connect with his daughter on an emotional level, preferring instead to discuss potential cosmetic procedures that could improve her physical appearance. The only friend Oreoluwa had was Kike, who wasn't really a friend. All Kike was interested in was showing off the latest expensive jewelry that her very rich parents got her, or being rude to Oreoluwa, singing it to her ears that her parents are far richer than any other student's parents. So, Oreoluwa didn't feel comfortable sharing her issues with Kike. She was just friends with her because she had no one else, as if what she was going through at home wasn't enough. Oreoluwa became the target of bullies in school. She dreaded going to school every day, knowing that she would have to face a boy called Tade and his group of bullies, who seemed to take pleasure in tormenting her. It was hard for her to understand why Tade and his friends singled her out for their cruel taunts and actions. She was a quiet and studious girl who kept to herself most of the time. Yet, she became the target of their relentless bullying. It seemed like they took joy in making her miserable, finding new ways to humiliate and belittle her every chance they got. One of the most common ways Tade and his friends would bully Oreoluwa was by making her lose her balance whenever she walked into the school bus in the morning. Tade would stick his legs out in the aisle, knowing that she would have to walk past him to find a seat. And whenever she did, he would intentionally block her path, causing her to lose her balance and attracting the laughter and ridicule of the other bullies on the bus. But the bullying didn't stop there. Tade and his friends found countless ways to make Oreoluwa's life miserable at school. They would pour sachet water on her hair, tear up her notebooks, and steal her belongings, all while laughing and taunting her. Oreoluwa tried to fight back, but it only seemed to make the situation worse for her. The bullies had free rein to torment her, and it took full advantage of it. The constant bullying took a toll on Oreoluwa's mental health and emotional well-being. She felt isolated and alone, with no one to turn to for help or support. Her parents were too wrapped up in their own lives to notice the pain she was going through, and the
graduation now, not in front of his friends. He would be tagged a loser.
No way, Tade retorted, a small grin on his face. Opeyemi's eyes narrowed as she took a step closer to Tade without hesitation. She kicked Tade's legs out of the way. The entire base fell silent as they watched the scene unfold. Opeyemi stood tall, a look of defiance in her eyes. Without another word, she walked past Daddy and took a seat. The boss elected in chairs and applause. Tade, on the other hand, was left humiliated and defeated. The tables had turned on him, and for the first time, he felt like the victim. His friends now laughed and jeered at his misfortune. How quickly they turned on him, he thought. Tade wasn't at his clouds that day. He kept thinking of ways to get back at Opeyemi, who he thought was Oreoluwa. On getting to school, Oreoluwa's friend Kike, that only loved talking to her, only when it made her feel good and on top of the world, started following Opeyemi everywhere around the school, acting all nice towards her all of a sudden, just because she wanted to share in the attention Opeyemi was getting for standing up against Tade the bully. Kike's friendship with Oreoluwa had always seemed like a servant and master relationship in Opeyemi's eyes, and so she decided Kike was the first on her revenge list. Opeyemi knew exactly how to make Kike pay. Kike had a big secret that she kept from everyone at school. Even her boyfriend, Toby, wasn't aware of the secret. The secret was that she didn't have rich parents like she had been singing in everybody's ears for so long. Kike was just the daughter of the maid in Mr. and Mrs. Agbabiaka's mansion, and the couple, being philanthropists, took good care of her, sent her to the best schools that money could get, and bought her the best of every material thing. So, Opeyemi decided to expose her dirty secrets. That day after school, Opeyemi bought a pack of A4 paper
and wrote every single details of Kike's lies on them in red bold ink, titling the write-up with Impostor Kike, the daughter of a maid. Opayemi snuck back into school in the evening and pasted about 150 copies all over the school. The next day, everyone had a copy in their hands, and Kike's web of lies was out for all to see. When she arrived at school and saw everyone looking at her, she thought it was because of her new school bag until she noticed the paper in their hands. She picked a copy on the floor for herself and read what was in it. Kike couldn't believe her secret was out in the open and ran back home in shame. Opayemi laughed that her plan had worked perfectly and couldn't wait to share the juicy gist with her twin sister Oreoluwa, but she quickly changed her mind because she felt Oreoluwa, being a soft person, might have a problem with her style of plans. So she decided she wouldn't look into the mirror till she was done with all the people on her revenge list. The next person was her father. She thought deeply about how to mess up his life forever. That afternoon, Opayemi paid her father a visit at his workplace in the hospital. Sheyi was busy kissing a woman in his office when he got a call from the receptionist informing him of his daughter's presence. He was surprised to hear this and quickly told the strange woman to dress up and leave. Opayemi shook her head when she saw the curvy woman buttoning her shirt as she came out of her father's office. She knew he could never change and was counting on that for her revenge to work. Her father came out a few minutes later, smiling, and took her to his office. Opayemi smiled back and told him she just wanted to surprise him with a visit. Sheyi sent a staff to get his daughter food and drinks before he left to briefly check on some of his patients. As soon as he stepped out of the office, Opayemi unzipped her school bag and brought out a camera that she had purchased earlier. She placed it in a strategic but hidden place in her father's office and turned it on. A day later, she pretended to bring her father a home-cooked meal. Sheyi hugged his daughter tightly, thankful for how much she cared for him. Oreoluwa, I keep repeating, I like this new you. You care for me more than your mother, Sheyi said loudly. Opayemi wore a wicked grin on her face as she watched him eating, and when the opportunity provided itself, she retrieved the camera that she had kept in his office. She hurried home and watched the footage on Oreoluwa's laptop, and just as she wanted and predicted, there was her father in the video exchanging his services as a body sculptor and plastic surgeon for romantic relationships with his female patients. This was bad for his career, and that was exactly why Opayemi chose this. She immediately put the memory card containing the clip in a brown envelope. She also made sure to add a picture of her father's identity card and international passports. Opayemi submitted this to the Professional Discipline Department of the MDC. The next school day was the first day of exams at school, and it was time for the next person on Opayemi's revenge list, Tade the bully. Opayemi already set a trap and was just waiting for the results. Opayemi stood where Tade could see her at the school, near his locker, and just as she predicted, Tade saw her and started to threaten to get back at her for disgracing him in front of his friends in the bus the other day. Opayemi made sure she got close to him enough, and when she got the perfect chance,
She slipped a paper into his pocket while he was busy intimidating her for all to see. When it was time for their exam, Opeyemi kept staring at Tade. She made it very obvious, and Tade stared back at her. After the exam invigilator distributed the question papers and answer sheets, Opeyemi hurriedly finished hers and continued staring at Tade till he got tired and reported her to one of the invigilating teachers. When Mr. Adogon asked what the problem was, Opeyemi screamed that Tade was copying answers from a paper in his pocket. This accusation got the attention of everyone in the hall, and Mr. Adogon asked Tade to stand. He searched him all over and discovered a white paper. These were answers on the exact subject they were being examined on. Tade opened his mouth widely. He told Mr. Adogon that he didn't know how the paper got into his pocket, and the other students laughed. No one believed him. Opeyemi laughed in his face, and Tade accused her of putting the paper in his pocket. This made Mr. Adogon really angry to the extent that he did a search of everyone on that row. Mr. Adogon and some other teachers searched the students, and the unexpected happened. Carefully written answers to the examination they were currently taking were on Toby's left thigh. The whole hall became very noisy. Everybody was surprised to catch Toby in such a dishonorable act. But one person felt instant regret, and that was Opeyemi. Had she known that Toby would get exposed, she wouldn't have used this method of revenge on Tade, because Toby was the only person that ever stood up for Oreoluwa, her twin sister, against her bullies. Opeyemi started to panic. She went home very sad and didn't know how to undo what she had done. What will she tell her twin sister, Oreoluwa? She only hoped that Toby got a miracle. The 7 days Opeyemi demanded from Oreoluwa was up, but she couldn't look at her twin sister in the mirror. Their school, being a school that prides itself in zero tolerance for cheating, a panel was immediately set, and 2 days later, Tade and Toby were expelled from the school for cheating during their exams. Opeyemi cried heavily as she made her way to the bathroom to explain things to her twin sister. On hearing the summary of most of the events that Opeyemi had concocted in the past few days, Oreoluwa got angry at her twin sister. She felt that Opeyemi had overreacted. Our father is still our father. What you did to him is just too much, Opeyemi. Oreoluwa told Opeyemi angrily. He is not my father. Opeyemi fired back at her twin sister. She then narrated how their father had abandoned her in the bin when she was born deformed, which led to her untimely end. Oreoluwa started to cry. She didn't know their father was that horrible. I am so sorry to hear what you went through in his hands. Oh, Opeyemi, I am so sorry. Oreoluwa tearfully said, there is more. Opeyemi replied before she summoned the courage to tell her twin sister about what had happened to Toby. Oreoluwa screamed, and they both cried their eyes out. I am so sorry, Oreoluwa. I didn't mean to involve Toby, Opeyemi said in tears, but Oreoluwa was too heartbroken to hear. Meanwhile, that same day, Seyi, their father, had to face the disciplinary committee of the Medical and Dental Council, and because of the overwhelming evidence before the committee, Seyi's license as a medical practitioner was withdrawn. Our profession is a noble profession that has no place for such practices, one of the members of the disciplinary committee said before reading their verdicts, and this was the end of Seyi's career. Still in their emotions, Opeyemi touched the mirror, and the twins switched back to their original places.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this story, I'm sure you would enjoy this one also, about a prince that was bullied and humiliated in front of his wife. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.